What is that? Get that out of there. It was just my planner, don't worry. Who needs plans? This video certainly doesn't have one. Hello, Caroline or Miss B Overseas, whatever it is you would like to call me. In the interest of not recording a 10-minute long intro that future Caroline will hate present Caroline for, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This is a video where I will be recommending to you books based off of emojis. The inspiration from this video comes from other booktube videos. I know that Kayla from Books and Lala and Jessie from Jessie the Reader have done videos that are similar to this. What they have done, if my memory serves me correctly, is that they took to Twitter and asked their Twitter followers to tweet them series of emojis, and then they recommended books based off of those series of emojis. I am lacking in the Twitter follower department, as well as a bookshelf that contains like physical copies of all the books I have ever read. Sometimes you just gotta create your own magic, and our own magic will come in the form of a random emoji generator. I will leave a link to it in the description below if you watch this and are inspired to recreate it. Let's not waste any more time and go ahead and get started. So I have the random emoji generator pulled up on my phone. It just looks like this. You can type in how many emojis you would like to generate. We are going to stick with one because I think this is already going to be a challenge. And then you hit the randomize button on the left and it should generate a random emoji. I am very terrified. Please start out with an easy one. Oh, this is like a subway or a train. Something that comes to mind with a subway or a train is, okay, this is kind of a stretch and it's a book that I haven't read in quite a while. Actually a book that I read as a kid that I now recommend to my students. It's called The Downsiders by Neal Shusterman. The reason that it relates to this subway train emoji is that a large part of it takes place in underground abandoned subway tunnels that run underneath New York City. So this is kind of a modern day Romeo and Juliet retelling. Instead of the Capulets and the Montagues, there are the Downsiders, which is the society of people that live underneath New York City, kind of in the vein of mole people, but they're a bit more technologically advanced than that. And then there is the Topsiders. I believe it is a boy from the Downsiders glimpses this girl who is a topsider from like a gutter grate. So that is my recommendation for this subway train emoji. A bit of a stretch, but that was an easy enough one to start off with. Let's see if the next one will be that kind. I just realized that I totally meant to be taking screenshots of these emojis and I have not been. So from here on out, I will be taking screenshots of the emojis that are generated so that way you can see them and know that I am trustworthy and not just making them up. Ooh, okay. This is such a cute emoji. Oh my gosh. My recommendation for this beautiful desert emoji is going to be insignificant events in the life of a cactus. There is a cactus in this emoji, which takes place in Arizona. It centers around a young girl named Aiden who was born without any arms. And at the beginning, I believe that she is moving to Arizona. And in this book, she meets a new friend and together they kind of solve this mystery surrounding this theme park that is in this desert setting. It is so fun and just a good and adventurous middle grade that has a lot of themes of acceptance and understanding. So Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling is my recommendation for this emoji. Next one, I got the rice emoji, and this is going to be a little bit winding, so follow along if you can. There is a short story in the Flying Lessons and Other Story anthology. The short story that I am thinking of in particular is The Beans and Rice Chronicles of Isaiah Dunn. In this short story, you learn that Isaiah is growing up pretty poor to combat these feelings that come with growing up without a whole lot of money. He creates this persona where he is a superhero going around and saving the world. That is sort of my title association based on this rice emoji, The Beans and Rice Chronicles of Isaiah Dunn. So another sort of beautiful setting emoji that I have not seen before. For some reason, it's giving me like national park vibes. I actually read a really good nonfiction earlier this year called American Wolf, and I believe the author is Nate Berksley or Blakesley. Centers around wolves living in Yellowstone National Park. So that's how I'm relating it to this emoji. It primarily focuses on the life of a female alpha named 06. Then there are also sections where the author zooms out a little bit and focuses on politics surrounding Yellowstone National Park, and then also wolves and wolf hunting. So it was a really cool nonfiction book to read because it showed the life of a wolf, and then in the zooming out parts kind of showed how we as humans impact animals' lives. It was really outside my comfort zone, but it was just something really interesting to read about. So American Wolf is my recommendation for this lovely sunrise over mountain peaks emoji. A moon with a face. Oh gosh. Okay, I can think of a story that is set on the moon. I'm gonna take this and run with it. It is Feed by M.T. Anderson. This is a young adult kind of near future sci-fi setting where Earth has recolonized on the moon. The reason that it's called Feed is because in this future setting, not only have humans recolonized on the moon, but they have these things in their brain called the feed. And the best way I can think to describe it is if everything on your phone was available just in your brain. If we want to Google something, right, we just open it up on our phone and type it into Google. If the characters in this book want to do that, they aren't attached to a phone, they can just look it up in their head. There are like features of the feed where they can chat one another, so they are chatting but in their brains. They're watching like what would be the equivalent of a YouTube video in their head, and an ad will pop up that's like curated to what they've been thinking about. And the main conflict of the story kind of starts when people's feeds start to get hacked. So people are kind of hacking into the minds of other people living on this moon colony. So that is my recommendation for the moon emoji, Feed by M.T. Anderson. Okay, so I got this emoji. This emoji to me just looks so gleeful and so incandescently happy. I cannot help but bring up the last book that made me feel the equivalent to this emoji, and that was You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. It's a young adult contemporary. Our main character, Liz Lighty, after losing a scholarship that she was relying on in order to go to this college. She decides to run for prom court. She ends up developing feelings with another girl who is also running for prom court. It's also just really important because it's about Liz Leidy and the microaggressions and prejudices and stereotypes that she faces for being young and queer and Black, especially in this predominantly white town and school. It tackles those heavy issues, but it just has every single good vibe there is to feel can be felt while reading this book. It's just, I mean, I'm smiling like an idiot just remembering it. It's so good. It will make you feel this emoji. So my recommendation for this random emoji is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. Oh God. I'm not gonna do this one, but if you can recommend me a book in the comments that's related to this emoji, let me know. Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little self-indulgent. It looks like a club, like a suit on playing cards, and I'm gonna take that and recommend you one of my all-time favorite books, which is I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. This story centers around a young man named Ed Kennedy, who is a taxi cab driver. And in the opening scene of the book, he, by coincidence, ends up saving himself, his friends, and a bunch of other strangers from a bank robbery, but he does it on accident. He is not the hero that everyone kind of believes that he is, but from this bank robbery that he saves, he kind of gets his 15 minutes of fame. And one day after he saves these people, he receives a ace playing card in his mailbox, and on this ace playing card there is an address. Throughout the story, Ed receives more ace playing cards, lead him on more, I don't want to call it quests or missions, but just kind of leads him to different people. He has an impact on their life. In turn, his life is impacted by the people that these playing cards are leading him to. And that is my recommendation for this club emoji. Thank you for allowing me time to gush about one of my all-time favorite books. Okay, so this is just a this way pointing arrow, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the book that is nearest to me this way, which is The Fire This Time by Jesmyn Ward. This is a collection of essays, nonfiction narratives, poems, short stories. There are several different authors in here. This collection focuses on race in America, the prejudice and the violence that Black people have to face and have faced, and what it means moving forward with that knowledge. This was absolutely fantastic, and I am definitely using this arrow emoji as an excuse to recommend this to you, but I truly cannot recommend it enough. Okay, the dragon emoji. For this one, I am going to recommend a book that I recently finished called Burn by Patrick Ness. This is a young adult, sort of historical, speculative fiction. It takes place in the 50s, right at the precipice of the Cold War. It really focuses on this farm in Washington. The owner of this farm decides to hire a dragon to give extra help to himself and his daughter on their farm. Really, it's like a reimagining of the Cold War if the Cold War was actually started because a dragon worshipping cult was trying to destroy the human race so that dragons could exist in peace. Was definitely an odd book, but I do enjoy Patrick Ness's writing. I think that if you have read his books in the past, you kind of get a feel for what this book might entail, and that is my recommendation for this dragon emoji. Okay, so for this cloud emoji, I am going to recommend a book that I have not read in a while, and that is Magonia by Maria Devana Headley. This is a young adult sort of speculative fiction that focuses on a young girl who has a lung disease that makes it very hard for her to move and breathe and live. While she's experiencing this lung disease, she sort of slips into this other world called Magonia. Basically, it's this world of ships that exists above the clouds of Earth. So that's how it relates to this cloud emoji. So in the book, this girl, I think her name is Azza, struggles more and more to live on Earth, and as she is struggling to live on Earth, she slips further and further into this world that exists above the clouds, Magonia. I can't remember a whole lot about the characters or really the plot of this book besides what I've told you. I do remember just thinking that the writing was brilliantly gorgeous. So that is my recommendation for the cloud emoji, Magonia. Okay, for this last one, it was too easy. I had to do it. It is this emoji, and in this emoji, there is a house and there is a street. So I am going to recommend to you The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. This is a story written in vignettes, kind of these short, stylistic, brief scenes. The main focus is our character named Esperanza, who is growing up on Mango Street. The vignettes focus on her life, but then also other people on Mango Street, their lives as well. It's sort of that classic coming of age novel. It focuses a lot on identity, growing up as a young girl in the Hispanic culture, and Esperanza has a lot of inner dialogue about wanting to eventually grow up and move away from Mango Street. This is another book that I have taught. It was one that brought up really good discussions with students. It reads really quickly because of the vignette style writing, and that is my recommendation for this house and street emoji, The House on Mango Street. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there on a high note. This was really fun, and if anything, it was a test of my brain power. One, to remember all of the books that I've read. So shout out to my Goodreads read list for helping me along. It also was just a stretch to see how can I find the most minuscule representation from these books I've read to relate to these emojis. Like I said, I will leave the random emoji generator link in the description below if you would like to recreate this. If there are any books that you want to recommend to me based on emojis that were shown in this video, please let me know. I don't really have a whole lot more to say other than bye. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and until next time.